My name is Rachel Moore, and I found out my boyfriend had been stealing morphine from my ward the day I saw our Netflix password written on the back of a drugs register. Not his name. Not his initials. Our shared Netflix password. The stupid one we'd made up on the sofa, combining our cats' names and the year we met. Laughing about how no one would ever guess it, it was scribbled in the corner of a controlled drugs log, next to a line where 10 milligrams of morphine had mysteriously gone missing. I was the nurse in charge that night. The signature next to the missing dose was his. Welcome to Quiet Storm Stories. Hospital Edition. We're a woman who has spent years double-checking everyone else's medicine learns that the person who knows your pins and passwords can also be the one quietly bleeding your career dry. If you've ever trusted a partner who says, I know what your job's like, I get it, so much that you stop guarding your own life quite as fiercely as your patients. This one's for you, because this is the story of how I almost lost my pin, my freedom and my mind for love, and how I chose my license over my boyfriend. I'm 31, a Band 6 nurse on a busy medical ward in Liverpool, 10 years qualified. I can prime a drip in my sleep, talk a delirious elderly man down from ripping out his cannula, and calculate a morphine dose in my head, while a junior doctor still has their BNF open. On paper, my life looked sorted. I rented a small terrace house. I had an old Fiesta that only occasionally refused to start. I had a boyfriend, Tom, who lived 10 minutes away in a slightly nicer flat with a slightly newer car. Tom and I met on a night out. Not on the ward. He wasn't staff. He was a patient's son. I know, he'd been camped by his dad's bed for 3 days, watching us run around, making terrible coffee in polystyrene cups. I was the one who took the time to explain what multi-organ failure actually meant. I held his hand when they switched his dad to end-of-life care. After the funeral, he came back to the ward with a box of chocolates. Thank you, he said, for being honest. The consultant talked in circles. You told the truth. He asked me for a drink. I said no. You're not supposed to date relatives. Unspoken rule. Then yes, 6 weeks later, when he turned up again to drop a thank you card and caught me at the bus stop, he was funny. He worked in IT for a big retailer, could fix printers without swearing, and understood my rota better than my mother. He didn't flinch at my horror story decompressions after a shift. He also had a history he mentioned only in headlines, bit of a wild phase in his early 20s. A brush with the wrong crowd, dabbling with pills and coke. A wake-up call when his dad nearly caught him using in the garage. I've been clean 3 years, he said. Dad getting sick finished it off. Couldn't be off my head when he needed me. I believed him, because I wanted to. You see enough patients at 3 a.m. with abscesses from injecting in groins. Your heart starts craving redemption stories. We moved in together after a year. Split bills. Fought over the washing up. Fused our Netflix accounts under one stupid password. Life was ordinary. Until it wasn't. Morphine is boring until it isn't. On a ward like mine, we handle it every day. Oral solution for breakthrough pain. 10 milligrams ampoules for injections. All of it in a locked cupboard in the treatment room. Every dose signed out in the controlled drugs register with 2 signatures. Nurse giving, nurse second checking. You treat it with ritual respect because the law does. Because if anything goes wrong, that book is the first thing auditors and the police look at. Over the years, I'd seen minor discrepancies. A dose signed in the wrong column, a milligram miscount. We'd corrected, noted, moved on. About 18 months into living with Tom, little patterns started. A couple of 10 milligrams ampoules spilled in a fortnight. One loss can happen. 3 years. Interesting, the register would show breakage, with scrawly notes, dropped on floor, smashed, while opening, different nurses' initials. Always on late shifts. Always when we were slammed. I did what nurses do. I assumed chaos. Told myself, we've been short-staffed, everyone's doing 3 things at once. Of course something gets logged wrong. Then the ward manager called a meeting. There have been some anomalies with controlled drugs, she said. Face carefully neutral. Nothing dramatic. But pharmacy flagged repeated breakages. We need to tighten up. No cutting corners. Double signatures every time. No excuses. We all nodded, rolled our eyes, muttered that we knew. Life went on. Shifts blurred. At home, I started noticing small changes in Tom. He was jitterier. Checking his phone more. Making excuses not to have a glass of wine with dinner. Just tired, he said. Work's doing my head in. They've switched us to some new system. I'm doing overtime fixing everyone's car cups. He had a constant slight sniffle. I told myself, pollen. Because again, I wanted to. The first proper crack came one Tuesday. I was on a late. We had 3 end-of-life patients, half the ward on Ives, and a junior doctor who just discovered potassium at about 9 p.m. I went to draw up 10 milligrams of morphine for Mr. Carter inside room 3. He was gasping, eyes wild, family crying. He needed it now. I unlocked the CD cupboard, flipped open the little cardboard tray. Only 1 ampule left. We'd ordered more. They should have arrived. They hadn't. The duty pharmacist would take an hour to sort it. Mr. Carter didn't have an hour. I checked the register to see who'd used them most recently. In case a different prep had been signed, there, under that day's date, in messy but familiar handwriting, was a line, 10 milligrams morphine, spilled, signed, Rachel M., JHMY stomach dropped, JH, Jess, the new band, 5 on nights. She'd only been with us a month. Nervous, kind, terrified of getting anything wrong, I grabbed her in the corridor. Did you spill morphine earlier? I asked. It's not a big deal. I just need to know what happened. She frowned. No, she said. I haven't touched the CDs today. I've been on ARBs and fluids. Why? The register says you did, I said. Under my name too, which is weird because I don't remember checking it. She went pale. I've not signed that, she said, voice shaking. I'd remember. I haven't even opened that cupboard. We both looked at the book again. My name. Her initials. My signature. But not quite. Close enough to pass a sleepy glance. Not enough to fool me. The curved wrong. The tail on the M flicked differently. I felt sick. Someone had forged my name in the CD book. Using a pen from the nurse's station. On my shift. Cover me for 2 minutes. I told Jess. Don't let Mr. Carter die. I ran to the encore room. Grabbed my bleep. Called pharmacy and begged. Then I called the site manager and the ward manager, left voicemails, and did what we all dread. I filled in an incident form. The next day, matron called me into the office. Sit down, Rachel, she said. Need to talk. See this. She laid the book open on the table between us. The entry pinged up at me like a crime scene. I know that's not my signature, I said before she could accuse. And Jess says it's not hers either. She nodded. I believe you, she said. You and Jess were both with Mr. Carter's family at the time this was supposedly signed. The drug didn't go to a patient. It went somewhere. She tapped a folder. Pharmacy have done a reconciliation, she said. This is not the only dodgy entry. The same hand has been writing spill with different co-signers for a while. Always on lates. Always when certain staff are on. I swallowed. Who? I asked. She slid another sheet across. A printed table. Dates, times, names. One name repeated down the page. Tom Walker. Not my boyfriend. Another nurse. Except, no. That was the rub. It was my boyfriend's name. And the surname of one of our bank nurses. And the signature on the register looked off. I thought it was the bank nurse at first, matron said. But he was on holiday in Spain for half these shifts. Then I noticed something in one of the margins. She turned the page. In tiny, cramped letters. Someone had written, Netflix, Miliska to 016. Our stupid password. My head spun. Who knows that password? She asked quietly. Me, I said. And my boyfriend. She watched my face. Has he ever been on the ward since his dad died? She asked. Yes, I said slowly. He picks me up sometimes. Brings coffee. Chats at the nurse station. You've seen him? She had. She nodded. Always after 8, she said. When the ward is chaos, a memory surfaced like a bad fish. Tom leaning over the nurse's station, making a joke while I pulled meds. Me half laughing, half distracted. Me unlocking the CD cupboard while he was within arm's reach. Me turning my back to answer a crash bleep. He always stood on the right, by the sharp spin. It's where we lay out the ampoules. I felt like throwing up. This isn't proof, I said hoarsely. It could be a coincidence, she said, gently but firmly. You told me when we first suspected staff that you wouldn't cover for anyone. I need you to tell me the truth now, even if it's awful. Does your boyfriend have a history with drugs? I thought of the wild phase. The vague mentions. The itchy behavior lately. The sniffing. The late nights at the office when I knew full well his office closed at 6. Yes, I whispered. He used to. He said he'd stopped. Matron sat back. Rachel, I'm going to have to escalate this, she said. We have controlled drugs going missing and a potential link to someone who isn't staff. This is above my pay grade, she paused. And I'm going to ask you a question that might ruin your week, she added. Has he ever had your keys? I closed my eyes once or twice, I said, to get something from my locker, to borrow my car when his battery died. I thought I was being generous, trusting, partner-like. Right, she said. Then this becomes a police matter. And a safeguarding one, not just for the ward. For you, people think when a drug diversion investigation hits a ward, everything becomes dramatic and CC. In reality, it's paperwork. So much paperwork. Security reviewed CCTV. Pharmacy did stock checks. Governance printed every CD entry for the last 3 months and went through them line by line. The same messy, deliberate. Almost my hand signature appeared next to spilled 10 milligrams morphine at least 7 times. Always late shifts. Always after 8 p.m. Always within half an hour of my boyfriend texting. Here, want a coffee? And appearing at the nurse's station with 2 Costa cups. The Trust Drug Diversion Team, yes, that's a thing, came to interview me. A detective from Merseyside Police came too. Do you feel safe at home? He asked. After reading through the notes. It was a surreal moment. I'd spent years asking people on safeguarding forums if they felt safe at home. Now it was me, in the cheap office chair. Yes, I said automatically. Then, I don't know, had I felt physically unsafe? No, emotionally. I suddenly wasn't sure what safe meant. He slid a form over. We'd like permission to search your property, he said. If this is him, there may be morphine ampoules or other drugs at your flat. I pictured my cat, Milo, offended at strangers. Then I pictured the alternative, them turning up with a warrant, scaring the neighbors, finding something and thinking I'd hidden it. Do it, I said. I'll give you a key. Confronting Tom was worse than any family meeting I've ever had with bad news. We sat on our sagging IKEA sofa. The Netflix browser glowed on the TV in the background, marking me with our password. I told him, straight. There's missing morphine from my ward, I said. Someone fudged my signature to cover it. They wrote our Netflix password in the book. I've told Matron everything. The police are involved. They're going to search this flat. He blanched. What are you saying? He asked. You think I'd nick drugs from your work? His outrage sounded a fraction off. Like a bad actor. I think you've been using again, I said. I think you knew exactly when the ward was chaotic, and that I'd trust you near the cupboard. I think you thought if it went wrong, people would suspect staff, not the bloke bringing coffee. He laughed. Sharp, ugly, you're paranoid, he said. You see your dicks everywhere. That's your job. Now you're bringing it home. Then you won't mind a search, I said. If there's nothing here, you'll be vindicated. If there is, this is your one chance to tell me the truth before I find out from a warrant. His jaw clenched. I don't have to sit here and be accused in my own home, he said. You're supposed to have my back, not call the cops on me. I'm supposed to keep my patient safe, I said, and keep my pin, and not go to prison because my boyfriend can't keep his hands off the CD cupboard. Silence. He stood up, pacing. I slipped once, he muttered. Once. It was after Dad died. I was low. I was in the building anyway. I saw you open the cupboard and thought, 1 dose. No one will notice. The breath left my lungs. Once. I repeated. The audits show at least 7. Over months, he rubbed his face. It got easier, he admitted. You lot of chaos. Ratch. No offense. Half the time, no one's watching the cabinet. Everyone's on the crash call. The doctors leave files lying on the trolley. I thought, it's safer if I tidy up. He actually said that. Like the morphine ferry, I was going to stop, he added quickly. You just found out first. How much have you used? I asked, voice shaking. How often? Are you driving on this stuff? Have you been using here, in our bed? His silence was answer enough. Get out, I said. He looked stung. This is my flat too, he protested. My name's on the It's my name on the NMC register, I said. My name in that drugs book. My job on the line. You brought this into my ward, into my cupboard, into my life. Get out. I pointed at the door. He grabbed a backpack. Some clothes, slammed the door. 2 hours later, the police came. They found 3 empty morphine 10 milligrams ampoules in the bathroom bin and 2 more behind a stack of towels in the airing cupboard. Wrapped in tissue, like he knew, on some level, what he was doing. They cuffed him gently in the hall. I stood there in my socks, hair unwashed, and watched the man I thought I'd marry duck his head to get into the back of a police car. My cat, my owd. I shut the door and slid down it, knees to my chest, and let myself sob for exactly 15 minutes. Then I got up, fed the cat, and texted mate run. They searched. They found ampoules. It was him. The NMC investigation was the part that kept me up nights. Technically, I'd done everything right once I knew, reported, cooperated, taken myself off CD duties until the dust settled. But the regulator is there to protect the public, not my feelings. They wanted to know, had I ever left the CD cupboard unlocked? Had I ever signed things I hadn't physically checked? Had I ever let unauthorized persons into the treatment room? The honest answer to the first 2 was yes, in the chaos of normal ward life. So had everyone. The third, he'd never been in the treatment room. I'd been careful about that. But he'd absolutely been at the nurse's station while I had the CD key round my neck. He'd seen me get distracted. He'd picked his moments. It was a horrible mix of this wasn't my fault, and I should have known better. The panel eventually concluded that there was no evidence I was involved in the theft or cover-up. I had acted appropriately once anomalies were found. The trust needed to tighten visitor rules. I kept my PIN. They kept a note on my file. Personal issues intersecting with controlled drugs. Handled appropriately, it looked clinical, boring, the way I needed it to. Tom, for his part, pleaded guilty to possession and theft of controlled drugs. He got a suspended sentence with a rehab program. He sent me 1 letter from the treatment center. It said, "I'm sorry I risked your career. I honestly thought I could handle it. I've always thought I could handle it." He underlined always 3 times. I never wrote back. People ask, in whispers, in kitchen corners, do you regret reporting him? As if there was a version of this story where I could have kept it quiet and everything would have been fine. Here's the truth. If I'd stayed silent, we both would have gone down. Diversion of controlled drugs is not a small thing. If the trust or the NMC had even sniffed that I knew and chose love over law, my registration would have been gone. Patients need nurses who will drag even people they love into the light. When those people start stealing from the cupboard, partners owe each other many things. Immunity from professional consequences when you raid their workplace is not one of them. I tell this story now, in pieces, to new nurses when we do the boring meds management module. Not the gory details, just the shape. I say, controlled drugs aren't just about clever calculation. They're about boundaries between you and patients, you and colleagues, you and home. I tell them to guard their keys, never sign a CD entry they didn't witness. Think very carefully about who they let loiter at the nurses' station at 9 p.m. on a short staff shift. And, quietly, I say, if someone in your life has a history with substances, it's not cruel to protect your job from their relapse. It's necessary. You can love someone and still say, you don't get to bring this into the hospital with my name on it. If you're hearing this and thinking of your own situation, a partner who used to dabble, a friend who knows the back corridors of your ward too well, a sense that your personal and professional worlds are bleeding together in ways that make you uneasy, here's what I wish someone had told me before my Netflix password ended up in a CD book. Addiction doesn't care about your job. It will walk through any open door, including the treatment room in your head that says, he told me he's clean now. That's enough. Guardrails aren't mistrust. Choosing not to give your partner your work keys, not to bring them into treatment areas, not to prescribe or sign for them if you're a prescriber. That's not a lack of love. That's best practice. If something smells off, name it early. The first spilled ampule should have set off my alarms. I let burnout and benefit of the doubt hush me. Don't. Reporting is brutal. Doing nothing is worse. The day I filled in that insudden report felt like betraying him. The day the NMC cleared me, I knew the only betrayal would have been of myself and my patients if I'd stayed silent. You are not responsible for anyone else's recovery. You are responsible for your registration, your patients, and your own nervous system. If someone in your life ever puts you in a position where choosing them means risking all three, it isn't a choice, it's a test, and you are allowed to fail the relationship to pass the test. We were in a bland education room at the hospital. Laminated posters about hand washing, an ancient projector, bad coffee. I'd been asked to give a talk on medicine's management and professional boundaries to the new intake. They'd just done the usual PowerPoint on controlled drugs, start counts, double signatures, legal classes. I could see their eyes glazing, so I told them a version of my story. I left out names. I said a nurse I know instead of me at first. But the shape was clear, missing morphine, forged signatures, a boyfriend with a history and an access point. At the end, one of them raised her hand. How do you ever trust anyone again? She asked. Like, what if I start dating someone and they've had drug problems in the past? Do I just say no? Forever? The room hummed with the same fear I'd had, sitting on my own sofa watching a police car take my boyfriend away. Short answer. I said, no, you don't have to swear off people with messy histories. Half our patients would be off the list. But you do need to treat your personal life and your professional life like two separate drug cupboards. I drew two rectangles on the whiteboard, one labelled home, one labelled ward. In home, I said, you can choose to love someone, forgive them, support them. In ward, the rules don't care who they are. No unauthorized access. No shortcuts. No turning a blind eye. You might think, I went on, that you're strong enough to keep an eye on someone if you let them near the medicine. Addiction loves that. It loves just this once, and I'm watching you, and they'd never do that to me. I tapped the ward box. The safest thing you can do, I said, is never give anyone the opportunity to put you in the position I was in. Sitting in front of a detective explaining why my boyfriend's handwriting was in a drugs register, they were quiet. One of the lads said, so, tell them I'm a nurse, and that's a hard line. Yep, I said. On a first date? No, at some point before you give them a key to your flat. Absolutely. Isn't that a bit harsh? Someone else asked. It's honest, I said. If that boundary makes them angry, that's data. A person who genuinely respects your work and their own recovery will be relieved you're not tempted to blur lines either. The education sister stood at the back, listening. Nodding. Later, she said, we should have this in the official training. I smiled. You'll never get it past the slides, I said. But you can put it in the stories. Meanwhile, my own life was in a weird in-between. The investigation was technically closed. Tom had his suspended sentence and rehab plan. The trust had tightened visitor policies. I had kept my PIN, but my nervous system hadn't got the memo. On nights, every time a relative lingered near the CD cupboard, my shoulders went up. Every time I pulled morphine, my heart did a little stutter. My flat felt different. Same furniture, same cat. No Tom, a ghost of his aftershave in the airing cupboard where the ampoules had been. Friends, well-meaning, said things like, time will heal, you did the right thing, you deserve someone better, or true. All useless in the middle of a 3 a.m. flashback to the drugs register. I went to staff support once, filled in the form, told the counsellor a neat, sanitised version, work stress, personal breakup. Some overlap, she said. You've had a betrayal and a professional scare in one go. Your brain's doing its job by going on high alert. We just need to teach it where the fire exits are. We worked on that. Not forgiving him, that wasn't the goal, but on separating my boyfriend stole morphine from I can never trust myself with the CD key again. Small things helped. I started doing the CD. Counted the beginning of each shift more slowly, out loud, with a junior nurse watching and learning. Turned it from a panic tick box to a mindful ritual. I asked matron to rotate me to a short stint in outpatients for a month. Less morphine, less 3 a.m. crash trolleys, more controlled environments. I started running again, not to punish myself, but to prove my body could do something other than stand in corridors shaking. The first time I saw Tom again, it was in Oli.CLEK acute. I know, I was in leggings and a not clean hoodie, hair scraped up. Arguing with myself over hummus brands, he was in the biscuit aisle, thinner, hollow cheeked. Reaching for the cheap chocolate digestives, we both froze, for a second. Everything in me screamed to run or shout, or grab his collar and drag him to matron, like it was still mid-investigation. Instead, I took a breath and nodded. Double quotes, hi. I said. Hi, he said. How's everything? I asked. Because Brits don't have another script. He shrugged. Boring, he said. Chips, meetings, group therapy. They make us share in circles. I hate it. It's working. Good, I said. He looked at my basket. Still working nights? He asked. Sometimes, I said. I'm in clinics a bit more now too. Variety, he nodded. I'm sorry, he said abruptly. Not for getting caught. For using you as a delivery system, that was. Accurate in a grim way. I'm not the one you have to make amends to, I said. You didn't just steal from me. You stole from Mr. Carter and everyone else whose pain relief you skimmed. I know, he said. They make us write letters to people we've harmed in rehab. You're in there. So are a bunch of scribbled Mr. X's. We stood there for a second. To people who'd once shared a bed now separated by a stack of own brand cornflakes. Are you seeing anyone? He asked, then winced at his own nerve. That's not your business anymore, I said gently. What matters is that if you ever come near my ward again, any ward, it's as a patient or a visitor at appropriate visiting times. Not to tidy up the meds, he grimaced. Fair, he said. We parted. My hands shook a little when I lifted the hummus, but my legs carried me to the till. In the months after, I found myself watching couples differently. Partners waiting outside theaters, spouses sitting with relatives inside rooms. The boyfriend who flinched every time the opioid pump beat. I noticed how often we, as staff, let partners cross into spaces that are technically for us. Because we're rushed or we want to be kind. Sure. Come in while I change this, we say to someone's wife. Yeah, just perch at the computer for a sec, we tell someone's son. Most of the time, nothing bad happens. Some of the time, boundary lines blur, and not. Just with drugs, a visiting daughter reading out a confused patient's subs, a husband scrolling through his wife's notes on the EP are when we forget to log out. I've become that nurse now. The one who says, actually, would you mind waiting in the family room? We'll come get you as soon as we're done. Sorry. Trust policy says no one but staff in the treatment room. Do relatives sometimes get grumpy? Yes. Do junior staff sometimes roll their eyes like I'm being paranoid? Also yes, but here's the thing. Policies exist for the worst day, not the average one. You don't wear gloves because you think every patient has HIV. You wear them because you don't know which ones do. You don't lock the drug cupboard because you think every visitor is a thief. You lock it because one was enough. I also started having different conversations outside the hospital when friends said, oh, my boyfriend used to do a bit of ketamine, but he's fine now. He loves that I'm a nurse. He's always interested in my stories. I'd say, great, don't bring him to your ward. Don't give him your CD key code. Don't let him pick you up from inside the building. Meet him at the bus stop. When someone in my book club said, my partner lost his license because of drink driving, but he takes my car when I'm on nights. It's fine, I asked, if he crashes with your car. Your insurance, your address on the logbook. Who's the police coming to first? It's not about being a buzzkill. It's about pointing out that love doesn't magically cover you from legal and professional consequences. There's one more piece to this story. My own addiction, not to substances, to fixing. For years, I'd prided myself on being the one who copes. The nurse who stays in control while chaos erupts. The girlfriend who takes on extra chores when her partner is having a hard week. The daughter who explains medical jargon to her whole extended family on WhatsApp. When Tom had first told me about his wild phase, a small, secret part of me had thought, I can be the reason he stays clean now. I can be his anchor, that feeling that you can glue someone else's fractures together by standing very, very still, is its own kind of high. Losing that narrative hurt almost more than losing him. In therapy, my counselor asked, what would have had to be true for you to feel able to report him from the first suspicion, not the seventh? I thought that his choices weren't my responsibility, I said slowly. That my value didn't depend on keeping the people around me functional. She smiled a little. Exactly, she said. You broke up with him. Now, you need to break up with the version of yourself that thinks she's everyone's last line of defense. I'm still working on that, but every time now that I feel in an insudden form, chase a pharmacist or tell a relative to wait outside. I remind myself, I'm not doing it because I'm the only one who can save the ward. I'm doing it because that's my job, in my little box labeled ward. And then I go home and put the key in a dish and let home be something else. If you're a nurse, doctor, paramedic, pharmacist, anyone with access to controlled substances and a life outside work, and you're dating. Here are the 3 questions I wish I'd asked myself sooner. Has this person ever had a substance issue? If yes, that doesn't disqualify them from your heart. It does disqualify them from ever being near your workplace meds. Do I secretly feel like this sobriety is my project? If yes, step back. Then no sponsor does that. You don't?